2 years ago, I reviewed one of my favorite experiences on the Switch, Taiko no Tatsujin, subtitled in the West as Drum and Fun. I'd played the series before, but this was when I got into it deep. Check out my review to see why I loved it, but it's safe to say that I was massively hyped for another helping of the cheerful Japanese drum game. The latest one on the Switch are, well, 2 ports in fact of old 3DS games that never got a Western release. Well, here they are in English finally. What sets these games apart from the rest of the series is that they are not your standard rhythm games. They are bona fide RPGs, full-on adventures, hence why in the West they have been unimaginatively titled Adventure Game 1 and 2. So there are stories here, 2 of them. They kind of follow a similar premise, so I'm not going to bore you with in-depth details of both. Basically, Don and Katsu take part in time-traveling, world-spanning shenanigans, meeting up with famous fellows from Hercules to Marie Antoinette, and even bloody dinosaurs. The stories are nothing to write home about as you'd expect, but they are funny and humorous, if inconsequential. It's wacky to the bone. I thought it was a nice change of pace to the series. It reminded me of those totally unnecessary but awesome Mortal Kombat adventure modes back on like the PS2 and GameCube and such. In terms of gameplay, the game retains the well-known and dearly loved rhythm gameplay. There's a Taiko mode, the classic, where you can just get down to drumming with little need to worry about any story or gimmicks that you may not be a fan of, and I respect that. As much as I enjoyed the simple adventure that I'll talk about in a second, there's no denying that sometimes you just want you and the music. The music here is, I think, mostly different to the previous game on the Switch. I did notice some crossover, especially happy to see my favorite song, RPG, being here. Although, sadly, it's been over a year since I've had the chance to play the original, so I don't truly know how many duplicates there are. There are also none of the DLC that Drum and Fun had, so sadly none of the amazing Studio Ghibli songs that they had, but there's a couple from Castle in the Sky and Kiki's Delivery Service that I don't think were in Drum and Fun. Just to briefly describe the gameplay, it's a 2-beat rhythm game. There's a blue note and a red note. Blue is for the rim of the ancient Japanese drum, while the red is the deep center sound. Notes come flying at you and you hit them at the right time. Unbelievably simple, yet endlessly addictive and fun. There are other smaller mechanics like drum rolls, but the simplicity is the best part once you meld it with the often awesome, cheerful Asian music found within. There's loads of variety, some original songs, some Vocaloids, some from Bandai games like Ridge Racer, One Piece music, Pokemon music. I absolutely love the Phoenix Wright medley and the famous Kirby medley, which I'm sure is also a duplicate from the last one, but you know, when it is that awesome, ain't no one complaining. It's just a great mess of variety and I love it. You can spend hours and hours just playing the individual songs, each with 4 difficulties. Now, as much as I love these games, I suck at them, so I appreciate there's a difference here between, gently enjoyable and, inhuman. You have all your standard options to change the speed, scoring system, and many other things too. If you want just the Taiko mode, it's got everything you'd expect from this kind of mode. The adventure mode, however, well, both of these they're really RPGs. I probably should have put them on our recent JRPG list. They are super basic, but a lot of fun as you blast around different environments, getting into rhythm-based battles with monsters. The story goes at a nice pace as you meet new characters and allies join your cause. Both games play incredibly similarly, but they have their own little quirks that do set them apart. You can feel the difference even if they follow the same kind of beat. Pun totally intended. The battles are basically just playing the game as you normally would, hit the correct notes at the correct time, and you should have no problem unless you're underpowered. But depending on which of the 2 games you play, there are hazards, bomb notes, which if you hit will deal you damage. Enemies also try to block your sight, making it difficult to see what's coming. At the end of the day though, the battles take care of themselves. As long as you're playing well, like to the song, you just focus on the music and you'll be golden. You have other things like a charge attack, magic, there's leveling up, equipping items, but your destiny is very much in your gameplay hands. Environments are simple but enjoyable and they give the series a nice change of pace. There's even like a Pokemon-like ally system where after battling, some may join your team. This is handled slightly differently between the 2 games, but same kind of concept. You can name them, you can even fuse them together to enhance another ally. It's pretty cool. Looking at this game and describing it, you'd think it would be like a massively in-depth JRPG, but don't worry, it is very, very breezy, pleasant. It's a non-essential experience, but you'll definitely enjoy it, and you'll definitely want to play it since it is one of the ways to unlock the songs in the standard Taiko mode. Now, I do want to mention that you can use the drum controller that came with the other release, the previous one, as expected, is definitely the most fun way to play the game should your setup allow it. It is fantastic, in fact, but you definitely need the right kind of environment for it. Now that I have a toddler and far less personal space, I did find it more difficult to, get in the zone this time around with the drum controller. And I did have a few issues with the official Hori drum controller. I had to seriously calibrate it to make it feel right with the timing. There are plenty of options to do so, which is great, but not ideal. But one really bad thing is where that for some reason, I don't know if it's a bug, a connection issue, or something wrong with my hardware, or even just a design choice, but the story mode would not allow me to hit the blue notes with the drum controller. It's very weird. The red notes, fine. Blue notes, no. Hopefully it's just a patch away from being fixed rather than a major issue, and thankfully, of course, you can still use the button controls, which feel better than ever. In fact, as far as I can tell, the only way to play the story mode is via button inputs. Only in the Taiko mode can you take advantage of the touchscreen, which is great. Motion controls also make a return, but I can't say I had any desire to use them here. And of course, the drum was working in full capacity in Taiko mode. That's what's making me think the drum controller was never intended to be used in story mode, which either way, it's just weird. Visuals are on the simple side, very charming in their own way, super colorful, in your face, and it's always glorious to, see as you do well on a song, you see like the graphics build up, the visuals get more and more extravagant. It's an attack on the senses. The adventure mode shows its 3DS origins well in the environments. They've been stretched almost to breaking point, but the character sprites are great. I'm not going to complain, to be honest, because it's exactly what I expected. In the audio department, where do you start? There are loads of tracks available, as already stated, with so much variety that there's something for everyone to enjoy between the two games. I don't know what else to say. The music is obviously the main purpose, but there's not much to say aside from it's bloody awesome. I've already mentioned the Studio Ghibli, Phoenix Wright, Ridge Racer, but there's Kamen Rider, Yokai Watch, Doraemon, Attack on Titan. It's got everything. In terms of value for this double pack in the West, you're looking at $50. I'm not entirely sure of the European and British pricing at the time of making this review, but I suspect it will be around that price, probably like £50, €60 maybe, but that is not certain. Don't forget you're getting 2 games here, and I believe you may be able to buy them individually too, maybe. I know in Europe you can purchase separate codes in boxes for game 1 and 2. Sadly, there appears to be no physical cartridge release in the West, despite Bandai America being a little bit naughty with their words, teasing the possibility a few weeks ago, but nothing did come up. Thankfully, you don't need to wallow in a digital-only release, as Japan and Southeast Asia have got you covered. Both these physical versions have English, so just pop it in your Switch, et voila, you've got a physical English version. There may be some awkwardness with potential DLC if there is any, but for me, the physical is entirely the way to go, and if I didn't pay for the Japanese digital version for this review, I'd definitely get the physical. I only advise that you do not get the Hong Kong version or the Taiwan version, as that does not have English, only Chinese and Korean, I believe. If you want to order a proper physical copy, you don't fancy waiting around to see if, one actually turns up in the US, then I'll pop links down below in the description and pinned comment as to where you can import a physical version for yourself with English on the cartridge. If you use our links, then you can also help support the SwitchWatch team out massively at the same time, and we can't thank you enough. Plus, in return, you can also get a nice 5% off your order if you use the coupon code SwitchWatchTV. That's all one word while checking out SwitchWatchTV for 5% off any physical item from PlayAsia. Nice. Overall, if you're into rhythm games, Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Adventure Pack is pretty much essential. If you're only looking for the RPG elements, then it's probably not going to rock your world or anything, but meld them together, a rhythm game, an RPG, then these 2 games are packed to the brim with glorious, charming, and most importantly, fun content. If you loved drum and fun, then you'll also need this one. The 2-note gameplay is so simple yet endlessly fun, especially if you're in the zone with the right setup and the drum controller in hand. For me, Along with Hatsune Miku, they are the top tier rhythm games on the Nintendo Switch, a 9 out of 10. Alright, many thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through, you are a legend. Always help support us, the longer that you watch. Big shout out to our YouTube members. Thank you for your support, including our executive producers, Dane Wilkinson, Santa Tartaruga Gannicus, Brent McLean, God of Resin, and Jonathan Rumor. Please check out some of our other content that may take your fancy if you enjoyed this video, especially in terms of rhythm goodness. Many thanks. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.